Hello, and welcome to the Soccer Curious Podcast, production of the Sports Curious Network. This is the only podcast series for the soccer beginner, two experts, two rookies. It's the beautiful game explained. I'm your host, Brian Peter Falk. Joining us all the way from Auckland, New Zealand, where she is on assignment, is soccer journalist Chandrima Chatterjee. Chandrima, you're working hard to get as far away from us as possible.
Yes,
What are you doing down there?
I am. I actually am writing an essay about the World Cup, which is what we are talking about anyway. So yeah, we're getting into a little bit of the FIFA, Iran,
Oh gosh, yeah, right,
Australia
of course.
issue. Yep. And actually, Iran, if they do play the US, they're gonna play New Zealand. So I am here,
Gotcha.
and I have friends
Fantastic.
here. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, avoid the hobbits. And our two soccer newbies. The first, you will remember, is film director, actor, and producer Gary Marks. Welcome back, Gary.
Good to be here again.
And we have a first timer on the pod, actor and voiceover artist Aaron Cottrell. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh, of course. Whether you're watching us on the Soccer Curious YouTube page or listening on the podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your Soccer Curious friends about us. We appreciate it. In this episode, we're doing a lot. We are talking about player positions. Who stands where? What do they do? We'll also explore the basics of gameplay. And since we are marching inexorably toward the World Cup, which is coming in June, we will be highlighting some of the players who have been called into the men's national team in advance of two matches that are coming up in the next week against soccer powerhouses Belgium and Portugal. And finally, in our extra time segment, the new national team kits dropped this past week. We will show them to our rookies and get their reaction. That's, of course, after we explain what kits are. So lots to do. Let's get going. First, I do want to, speaking of kits, just give a little shout out to the zip up I'm wearing today, which is the Santa Monica High School boys soccer team, of which my son Ben is a proud alumnus.
Samo.
Those guys Samo. Those guys this year won in California. The high school sports is organized through something called CIF. So they won the CIF Division I championship.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Wow,
that
is.
Yeah, so I thought I would wear, this is at this point vintage, because of course they churn out one of these every year and make all the kids buy it. So anyway, this is a vintage zip up that used to belong to my son that he, of course, doesn't wear anymore since he's now in college. But anyway, there you go. Well done, Samo High. Well in, boys. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we're talking today is about player position. So I always like to start with the baseline. What do our two rookies, Gary and Aaron, what do you guys know about how players are positioned in a soccer game? So Gary, let's start with you. If you know anything, what is it you know?
Well, I know from my edifying moment in the last podcast that a Portero is a goalkeeper.
Very good. Well done.
Thank you.
Portero. Fantastic.
I took notes.
Yeah.
I took notes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes, the portero is the male goalkeeper. The portera is the female goalkeeper. Yeah, very good.
And beyond
well done.
that,
What
I
else?
just want to
Anything
say
else?
that I am the position of a sponge. So educate.
Yeah. Fantastic. Aaron, what about you? What do you know? I always assume people have maybe seen a soccer game, like a kid's game or something at some point in their lives. Do you know anything at all about how soccer players are positioned on a soccer pitch?
Yeah, so my soccer knowledge, rightfully so, is pretty slim. I have listened to my husband talk about soccer quite a bit, so I do know about the goalkeepers. And then also there's like striker situation, yeah, like a
Very
forward
good. Yes.
person. I'm assuming there's also some defense situation also happening. Other than that, I couldn't tell you. There's probably like a right side, left side sitch, but I don't know exactly what all of the terminology is for all of those players. I'm just happy to watch everyone advance down one side or the other, and then I know who to root for.
Fantastic. The uniforms help.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's get into it. I'll start with the very, very basic. So in the world of soccer, which, as we've spoken about in other episodes, is sort of run by this organization called FIFA, there are all these ways and all these configurations for putting players onto a soccer field that we call a pitch. And in the youth level, you'll see kids playing where it's like 5 aside or 7 aside or something like that, which those are often referred to as short-sided games. But at the professional level, it's always 11 aside. So there are 2 teams on there, 22 players in total, 11 for one team, 11 for another team. And they are roughly broken down into sort of 4 types of players. Okay. There are the goalkeepers that Aaron mentioned. There are defenders. There are midfielders. Their name sort of explains where they play, which is in the middle of the field. And then there are forwards. Aaron talked about a striker. A striker is sort of a central forward who tries to score goals. And they are, of course, forwards so that they can get closer to the opponent's net and do that. Okay, so we're going to take these one at a time, and Chandrima and I will go back and forth sort of presenting these. So, Chandrima, let's start with our wonderful porteros, our wonderful, and porteras, our wonderful goalkeepers.
Right, right.
What should these people understand about goalkeeping?
So often they're number one, and I like to say that because they are absolutely essential, right? You don't want to lose that goalkeeper. You want to protect them at all costs. They're the only players that can use their hands. You know, I've seen arms. I don't know, Brian can tell me about the face. You don't want to get hit in the face, but I think it happens from time to time. It's one of
Goalkeeping, it
the
certainly does. But
oh,
any
wow.
player can use their face.
Yeah,
To be fair, to be fair.
to
But
be
it's
fair.
the goalkeepers are really the hands only. You know, they get the hands, and no one else does at any time.
You know, you got to watch out for concussions. So anyway, a lot of things there, but they are the only ones that get to be in that beautiful little penalty box. We call it the penalty box or penalty area. You'll see them sitting in goal. You'll see them walking around. You'll see them shouting, organizing their defenders. They're the ones that are trying to maintain some level of non-chaos in that defensive area. So you'll see them wearing different colors than the rest of their teammates. Their primary responsibilities, guys, they stop the shots, right? As I said, with any body part they want. They organize the defense, uh, making sure when you'll see like defensive walls or free kicks happening, they're the ones that are in charge of making sure that is done in an orderly fashion. There is something called the 8-second rule. So I have a question for you guys. You know what the 5-second rule is. Do you guys know what an 8-second rule is for
Well,
goalkeepers?
I
It has nothing to do with food
have
on the floor.
I have an
That's not it.
8-second rule. It's I allow something to sit for 8 seconds on the floor. I add an extra 3 seconds to that. That is my 8-second rule.
Right.
So
Fantastic.
it's
That's
similar,
not it.
right? It's similar. Brian, do you want to tell them? Because I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because that is a rule. FIFA sort of every year kind of updates certain rules and tells referees that they want them to focus on certain rules. And this one about goalkeepers hanging onto the ball is a rule that they're trying to enforce this year, and you'll see it more in the World Cup. When a goalkeeper collects a ball with their hands, they are supposed to release it back into the field within 8 seconds. The reason they sometimes don't want to do that is if their team is up 1-0 and the game is about to end. So they want to hang on to that ball as long as they can and sort of like, you know, delay. FIFA doesn't like that. Fans don't like it. The opposing team is always yelling and screaming. It leaves the poor referee having to kind of enforce, you know, this 8 seconds. But that is now this whole thing about like how many seconds you have to throw a ball, you know, from a throw in on the sidelines or for the goalkeeper to release a ball from possession, meaning possessing it with their hands. They are cracking down. So it's not a great idea for goalkeepers to hang on to the ball too long. Looking at you, Emmy Martinez.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other?
So yeah, speaking of which, I was going to actually give them some players to watch during this World Cup. In addition to we're going to talk about our own goalkeepers later for the US, but some international ones that I want you guys to keep an eye out for if Italy does qualify, we still don't
Yeah,
know.
of course, yeah.
We're still waiting,
A little
right?
on the bubble there, the Italians.
Oh my goodness. So I want you to keep an eye on Gianluigi Donnarumma. I apologize if I cannot pronounce his name.
You
God,
got it,
please.
Everyone just calls him Donnarumma.
That's like I'm sweating, right?
What's his full name again? Gianluigi?
Gianluigi
Donnarumma.
Donnarumma.
I think that guy gets women. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
I mean, he's Italian.
Gianluigi?
So yeah, keep it
Gianluigi Donnarumma.
Gianluigi.
Gianluigi.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, it's a good
I'm
name.
gonna try it tonight.
Italy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your new code name? You're
That's your
walking
new
out
code
into the
name?
world
I
with
know.
that?
I'm Gianluigi. Yeah.
I mean,
Good
it's
luck.
good. I'm crying though. Okay, so for Belgium, we have Courtois. I'm just gonna go with his last name so you guys don't have to memorize both, but he is outstanding. One of the top, maybe five, top three in the world. He's got a lot of experience, right? In Brazil, we have Alisson Becker. He's a top tier goalkeeper, you know.
His name's
He was
Allison?
expected to be Alisson. Yeah, his name is
Alisson,
He
yeah.
must get a lot of grief
He's
for
sort of,
that.
his name is Alisson Becker, but we talked in one of our prior episodes about guys that have their first name on their jersey. He's
Yeah.
one of those. He's a Brazilian. And so he doesn't go by Becker, which is a German name. He goes by his first name, which is Alisson.
He chooses the name Allison on his jersey.
Yeah, but Gary, you're going to love this. I know Chandrima wanted to skip Courtois' first name, but
I
Courtois'
see.
first name is Thibaut, and it's spelled Thibeaux.
Oh, I
Thibaut
like that.
Courtois.
I like that.
Huh?
I like that.
Skip, I
Thibaut
was-
Courtois
Thibaut.
is like at the, après ski in the
Well-
hot tub is Thibaut Courtois.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
come on.
mean, you guys, I have a pretty hard name too. I'm surprised when people get it, and I don't expect anyone to say it
Chandrima,
right.
your name has dream in it. It's
Oh,
dream.
that's
Oh,
lovely.
good
You're
point.
dreaming,
Yes.
Chandrima.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Beautiful.
guys, like we were talking, Brian already mentioned him because, of course, he won the World Cup and he made quite a brouhaha when he won it. But Emi Martinez, also known as Emiliano, right? Martinez,
Yep.
Argentinian. You'll see him again. You'll see him again. You'll see
Oh, you'll
him
see him
being
plenty.
the-
And
Boy.
Emmy is a famous delayer. In fact, a lot of people think that the reason they're enforcing the 8-second rule is literally only because of Emmy Martinez, who will do everything he can to, oh, no, I have to tie my shoe. Oh, no, I have to read a newspaper. It's crazy. It's crazy how he
So
delays. Crazy.
technically, if you
Oh, I
delay
see.
more
You
than
really love-
if you delay more than anybody else, you can win an Emmy. I like that.
Hey, yo.
Really?
Oh, well
That's a
then.
good one.
Well
Come on
played.
now.
Well played. Okay, we got to move on because we're running out of
Okay.
time in our first
Oh
segment.
my
I'm just gonna quickly hit defenders.
Keep going.
And then we'll save midfielders and forwards for the other side of the break. Okay, so defenders. I was a defender in high school, so this is a position near and dear to my heart. So the defensive line, there's generally a line of players in front of the goalkeeper. It's generally split into two pieces: the center of the pitch and the outside of the pitch, along what is called the touch line or the sideline. Okay. So center backs are in the center of the pitch, and outside backs are on the outside. Sometimes you'll hear center backs called half backs, and sometimes you'll hear outside backs called full backs, almost like in the NFL, but completely different meanings. And then occasionally, if you play, depending on your how you line up, you sometimes have guys that they call wing backs, which means these are outside backs, but they are a little bit of a hybrid between a defender who plays on the outside and a wing who plays forward. They do a tremendous amount of running. So on offense, those wing backs get forward to help in the attack. And on defense, at least one of them has to come back and help the defensive line. Because when you play wing backs, and this is going to be important for the U.S. because I think the U.S. is likely to be playing wing backs, you only play 3 defenders back, not 4. You play 3 defenders back plus 2 wing backs. So in defense, you've got a potential of 5, but on attack, those wing backs get forward and they only leave 3 defenders in the back. Okay? So that is quickly on defenders. Any questions on
Are there any baby backs? No?
just the ribs? That's after the game. Yeah. Any other questions on defenders? Anything not clear about defenders?
I'm good.
Oh, I think we're solid. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So we've used up a lot of time here to get just through goalkeepers and defenders. So we're going to take a break now. When we come back on the other side, we're going to do midfielders and forwards. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Soccer Curious podcast, The Beautiful Game Explained. We are talking about player positions, where players line up on the field. So now we're going to tackle midfielders and forwards. So Chandrima, why don't you tell us about midfielders?
I was so excited to tell you about it. My favorite position, my position that I enjoyed the most. Midfielders are the engine that kind of runs the game. They determine how fast things go, how slow things go. They're in between the defense and the offense, the attack, right? So they're the connectors. They often, you'll see this, they defend too, so they can intercept passes and protect their own defense, and they pass the ball to the forwards, the attackers. They make great runs. You'll see them being really creative on the field. There's a few different types. I'm just going to list a couple, and there will be no exam, but I would like for you to pick your potential favorite. So you have a central midfielder. So they're very balanced kind of player. You'll see them at the center of the pitch. They're a link. That's pretty much basic it. Defensive midfielder, also known as the number 6. So they're just a little bit in front of the defense, okay? Their role is to break up the opposition in their own attacks. They tackle. You'll see them being a little bit more aggressive, right? And regaining possession of the ball. Attacking midfielder, also known as the number 10. So they're positioned right behind their own forwards. They focus on making scoring opportunities. So they're the ones that are oftentimes delivering the ball to the striker, right? He'll talk about that soon. They get credited with assists a lot of times. And sometimes you even see them shooting at the goal. They'll get goals. They're allowed to. They also have a couple other things. They have box-to-box midfielders. Those are the guys and girls that get to run a lot. They're high endurance players, and they do a little bit of everything. From one penalty box to the other penalty box, And that's it. And I'm going to let you guys, Erin and Gary, tell me out of that, like, what kind of midfielder do you think you would want to play if you had to play a midfielder?
Well, here's my question. So the 6 and the 10, at first when you said the 6, I was like, okay, are they called the 6 because it's like a clock and this person is in this center kind of position? And then you said a 10. And then I thought, oh, is that person in a 10 location? But what is the significance of a 6 and a 10?
That would make sense, but that's not it.
Oh,
okay.
No, you know why it is? It's because, I don't know if you're familiar with rugby at all, but in rugby, your jersey number is also your position.
Okay.
So someone who plays a 5, that's a particular spot on the field. Someone who plays a 12, that's another particular spot. It used to be the same way in soccer. When soccer was first started, your jersey numbers came from the back. That is the reason that a lot of goalkeepers still wear the number 1, because that's where the jersey numbers started. And a lot of defenders are numbers 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 is less so these days. 5 is a very common defender number. And then as a defensive midfielder, again, in front of the defense, that is called the number 6 because that's the number they used to have. Then you have sort of like midfielders who are somewhere in between, like a defensive or holding midfielder and an attacker. Sometimes those are referred to as 8s because of the jersey number. And then a 10 is even farther advanced down the pitch. And 10, by the way, is a very, very special number in soccer. It is the most special number, in part because it has been worn by Lionel Messi. Everyone considers to be possibly the best player ever. And so to get the number 10 shirt, because you can only have one of those on your team, is considered to be very, very special. So on the
Okay.
U.S. men's national team, it is worn by Christian Pulisic, who is arguably, and see Gary's reaction, even he's heard of Christian because we brought him up earlier.
I
He
listened to
is
that podcast. I listened.
right. He is inarguably considered to be our best, or at least our most accomplished player. And so he gets the number 10 jersey because he basically gets to pick first. And believe me, in the high school game, which I'm sort of celebrating today, if any kid who gets to pick first because of some whatever contest that the coach ran or whatever, it doesn't matter where they play. They're picking the 10 jersey.
Well, yeah,
And any player that gets first pick picks the 10.
everybody wants to be
Yeah.
a 10. I mean, come on.
Everybody.
That's why.
Who doesn't want to be a 10? Okay, I'm going to move on to forwards. So I'm going to talk about forwards a little bit. So forwards, as you would assume, are the players that are trying to score the goals. They are the most forward, attacking the opposing team's defense. So there's two ways to think about forwards. There are sort of central forwards, sometimes known as strikers. Because they are striking the ball, hopefully, into the net if all goes well. And then on either side of the strikers, you have forwards who play on the left and the right. Sometimes these are known as wings or wingers because they are on one side or the other. So it's pretty academic what a striker has to do, but there are many different types of striker, and it very much depends on the player. There are some strikers who have great footwork and are great on the ball and can, with dribbling a ball with their feet, can slalom between defenders and score. Other strikers are sort of bigger and they don't do that. They're sometimes known as target strikers. There are strikers that you're trying to pass the ball to them and they are trying to just quickly shoot it into the net. Sometimes you hear strikers that are good at something called hold-up play, which means they have their back to the net they're attacking, and they receive a ball, they hold off the defender behind them, they hold up the ball, and then when another player runs, they pass it to them. So they're almost like a facilitator, and maybe not getting as many goals, but they do that so well that it can it can lead to great success. A great example of that was in the 2 World Cups ago when France won the World Cup. They had a target striker. There was one of my favorite players, Olivier Giroud, who played briefly for LAFC here in Los Angeles, but before that played for Chelsea and Arsenal and a bunch of other places. Olivier Giroud is a big, tall guy, very good footwork, but he was a guy with a great hold-up play who was freeing up other French players to score. And the end result was France won the World Cup, and their striker, Olivier Giroud, never scored a goal.
Wow.
And they still won. So that's how important it is to be able to hold up the ball when a defender is trying to take it away from you and dish it to your fellow players. Okay? Any questions on forwards, about what forwards do?
Why wouldn't everybody want to be a striker?
They all do.
Okay.
That's a great question, Gary. And everybody wants to be a striker. In fact, I played in so many Sunday rec leagues, and you go out to play. And of course, I'm a defender, sort of born and bred defender. I happily go back and take up my spot, right fullback or whatever. And you're like, wait a second, how we only have 2 defenders and we have 7 strikers? Because everybody just wants to go up and score goals. Everybody does, but not everybody can.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great question, and the answer is everyone wants to be a striker. And in fact, a lot of professional players, including goalkeepers, on their high school team or their youth club team or whatever, they were by far the best striker on their team, scored a gazillion goals, and then became a goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
Because often the best player, quickest, best feet, best decision making, understand game state and all that stuff, they're the ones who are putting the ball in the net. But they end up doing something else. Like I'm pretty sure Tim Howard, who is a very famous American goalkeeper, is now retired and is an analyst for NBC. I'm pretty sure, on his high school team, he was like the top scorer on that team, and then later on became a goalkeeper. So
Makes
it
sense,
happens.
right? Gives you a mental edge, right?
Exactly.
Know how
All
a
right.
strike works.
So we're going to move on, and I think this is a really interesting segment. We're going to try to get through it as quickly as we can, but it's really, really important, and that is gameplay. Okay. So here's the thing about gameplay. Pretty soon, you guys are going to be watching games. Hopefully, and for the purposes of this podcast, watching these friendlies that are coming up against Belgium and Portugal. Okay. The Belgium game is in like 8 days from this recording.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
So they will always show these lineups and they will say, oh, this team is playing a 4-2-3-1, or this team's playing a 4-3-3, or very unlikely, but in the old days, a 4-4-2, or a 3-4-2-1, which is one that the U.S. is likely to say. So those numbers can be a little confusing. So we're just going to quickly break those down. So what those all mean is you count forward from the goalkeeper. You don't count the goalkeeper. After the goalkeeper, the first number is how many defenders. The second number is how many midfielders. Sometimes the third number is attacking midfielders. And then the last number is the forwards. Okay? So in a 4-4-2, you had 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 2 strikers. That's what those numbers mean.
What's the most popular one?
Okay? That's a great question.
There was like a
John Greenman, what
Ted
do you think?
Lasso situation with this too, right? I feel like a lot of us they played some sort of number system that hadn't been played in a while, and then
Interesting.
what?
Yes.
Right? That was part of the plot.
Wow, Aaron,
So
that's
they
digging
didn't
deep.
anticipate it.
That's digging
I
deep.
It's a deep
mean,
cut. A deep
I feel
Ted Lasso
like
cut.
Ted Lasso is like the great unifier for your entire audience.
I
would
like a
Oh,
woman
there-
whose field of reference is television. I love that.
Yes,
That's perfect,
I
yeah.
live inside of it. Yes, for sure. Anyway,
We're-
sorry, please.
Yeah, that's very good. So, Chandrima, what do you think? What's the best way to talk about formations?
I
Because
mean,
it
I-
can be very, very confusing,
well,
and we
I
want to
don't
make sure we're being clear.
I call it like a team's personality, you know? You can be
Mm.
very classic, which like I think you already described, right? 4-4-2, kind of
Yep.
a balanced lines, right? Nothing chaotic about it. It's very old school, right? But now it's like a more modern take, 4-3-3. So that's 4 on defense, 3 in the middle, and 3 up front. So that's kind of like I don't know now, but Barcelona back in the day, like I just remember it being like that. Like Messi
Oh,
had
yeah.
his crew, you know, around him,
Yep.
and that's how they were 3 together, and that's how they always played.
Right.
It kind of makes people like Messi shine, actually. So that's what you play when you want to win, not just like stay alive. Um, More modern, Brian, right? I think is 4-2-3-1, where you have
Much more modern. Yeah.
yeah, you have that cherry picker all the way at the front,
Yeah, striker
ready
by
to
themselves all the way up at the
yes,
top. Target
yes.
striker waiting for those in 4-3-2, waiting for the 2 who are sort of like these attacking midfielders or wingers to lob balls to that 1.
Mhm.
And in front of those 4 defenders, that 2 are 2 like defensive midfielders. They often call that a double pivot because you have 2 guys who are taking balls from the defense, pivoting forward and spraying the ball to the 3 players that are ahead of them in some formation. Right?
Mhm.
It's that is a super popular. And by the way, that for a long time, especially under the last coach, was exactly what the US men's national team played. Right? They'd play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. That was what they always played. And it took sort of a new guy to come in to even contemplate playing a 3-back, the 3-4-2-1, which is completely different. And we will get a chance to talk more about that in our next episodes when we are reviewing the Belgium game and what happened in the Belgium game. We will get a chance to talk more about that. What I want to say that I think is important is to understand, what formation do you pick? How do the coaches choose the formation? Well, part of that is based on how they think they're going to play the game. And there are really 2 styles of playing the game, and they are both based on who do you think your opponent is. Okay, so the U.S. is a great example because the U.S. is a pretty strong team. They're a top 20 in the world team, which means there's a lot of teams worse than them, and there are a bunch of teams better than them. So when the U.S. is playing a team that is not as good as they are, and they know they're going to have most of the ball, the other team is going to sort of drop back. Think about basketball for a second, where a team just sets up in a zone defense and allows the opposing team to dribble the ball down and set up and start passing the ball around the perimeter, two guards, shooting guard, point guard, two guard, point guard, two guard, and finally they get it into the forward who maybe tries to shoot it. That's what that style feels like, where the U.S. will be playing a more of a possession-based style. They will have 75% of the possession of the ball, and then the lesser team will say, well, we're not going to be able to beat them like that. We're just going to hunker down. We're going to play what's often called a low block, meaning we're just going to line up our defense. Everyone's going to come back and play defense. We're going to weather the storm. We're going to try to get the ball away from them. And then what they play, this is the other style, is the weaker team plays what's called a counterattack style, which means when they get the ball, they try to quickly go and score. They may only have the ball for 20% of the game, but that won't matter because as soon as they get the ball away from the superior team, they're going to go down the field as quickly as they can, not let that team transition back on defense. This is an area where the U.S. men's national team sometimes gets burned, and they are going to try to go and score. So what's interesting is what will the U.S. men's national team do in these upcoming friendlies, right? Because they are going to play two teams that on the team sheet or according to FIFA are much better than they are. Portugal and Belgium are two very high wattage teams. So what will the U.S. men's national team do? Will they go toe-to-toe with those guys and try to play like a more possession, passing the ball around and it all looks beautiful? Or are they going to hunker down in a low block, which is sometimes known as parking the bus, which means they're just going to play on defense and weather the storm and try to get a counterattack and like slap the team in the face when they're not looking, sort of. So those are the two styles. It'll be so much clearer when we watch a game.
I can't wait to watch a game.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right. Let's move on. When we come back, we are going to dig into the national team roster coming up for these March friendlies. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Soccer Curious podcast. So here's the deal. We are about to have our first games that we get to watch and comment on for this pod because the March friendlies window is almost upon us. At least they're friendlies for the U.S. men's national team because they have already qualified for the World Cup. So it's common here for you to play a couple of teams just to sort of work out who your roster might be and to get some real game practice. I think the U.S. men are very fortunate to be getting games against two very, very good teams who are Belgium and Portugal. So they did a roster drop, which is a big thing, which basically means that every players get alerted that they have been selected by the coaches to come to the March friendlies. So Mauricio Pochettino, who is the Argentinian coach of the U.S. men's national team, has selected 27 players from all over the place to come and play these two friendlies against first Belgium next Saturday and then Portugal the following Tuesday. So we're just going to quickly run through. We don't want to run through all 27, but we do want to run through some of these players so that when you sit down to watch next week's game, you can go, oh, we talked about that guy. So we understand where they're coming from, what they bring to the team, what position they play, and all of that stuff. So as we always do, we're going to start from the back. We always count from the back in soccer. So Chandrima, if you could start us with goalkeepers.
Sure. So important to note that usually for the World Cup roster, we're not there yet. The coach picks three. One is the lead goalkeeper. One is like trusty backup and friend and ally and plays those games that we think we're going to win. And then the third is just in case of emergency, right? So we have a battle of two Matts in for goalkeeper right now that are the main names that we want you guys to remember. So we have Matt Freeze he plays for New York City FC, if you guys follow MLS, and he is Pochettino, who is our coach. Matt Freeze is his favorite right now. He has started in 12 consecutive matches for the U.S. His record in those games are 8 wins, 2 ties, 2 draws, and 2 losses. and he helped the US reach the Gold Cup final. So he's on a tear, and most likely he will be the first choice. But we also have Matt Turner, who was our goalkeeper of choice in the last World Cup. He has had less playing time as of late, right? He's back with MLS after a stint in Premier League, in Lyon, he was all over the place actually in Europe. So he's back in the US too for the MLS, for New England Revolution. However, because he has so much experience in the international stage from his 2022 World Cup time, he's going to be a guy that, Matt Freese wants to rely upon for advice, because like the mental game, right? The mental aspect of these big World Cup games is huge. It's immense. And so it's good to have that experience as a backup. So I just want you guys to keep in mind that, yeah, it's the story of two Matts at this point.
I like the storied
Fantastic.
elements into things. I'll be looking to see which it's like a LeBlanc and Perry situation with the two Matts. It'll be good to see who shows up.
It is the two Matts. And, my heart goes out to Matt Turner. It really does. Matt Turner was our starting goalkeeper in the 2022 World Cup. He was good. And also, the U.S. The U.S. has a great history of amazing goalkeepers. Amazing. No matter who else may have been on the pitch, you could go through and like Tony Meola and Tim Howard and Brad Friedel and Guzan and all these guys. These guys, Tim Howard, who again is now an analyst for NBC, in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, he stood on his head to keep us in this game against Belgium, which we eventually lost. But he stood on his head to the point where some fan was so impressed that they temporarily went into the Wikipedia page for the United States Secretary of Defense and changed it to be Tim Howard's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was so incredible. We are now in an era where our goalkeeping is nowhere near our strongest position. I'd say it's probably midfield.
Yeah.
It's not strong. I like Matt Freese. He's okay. He's also capable of a great blunder. And Matt Turner, who was very good in the 22 World Cup, has now fallen out of form. You'll hear that a lot in soccer, is a player in form, meaning are they playing well? Are they playing confidently? If they're a striker, are they scoring goals? If they're a goalkeeper, are they making a lot of saves? Matt Turner, I actually saw Matt Turner play at Emirates Stadium when he was in the Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. They lost that game, but Turner was good. Turner was a starting goalkeeper in the English Premier League, like the top league on the planet, and he has so fallen apart. It's really too bad.
I'm
going to move on to defend.
The Nottingham team is called the Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, like the sheriff of Nottingham, like
Robin Hood.
Well, yeah, that's a Robin Hood reference. Yeah.
It is a Robin Hood reference.
Yes.
Turns out that was a documentary. Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest. Okay, I'm going to move on to defenders. We've heard a couple of these names on prior episodes. The first I'm going to bring up is Tim Ream. And Gary, if you remember, everyone was calling him the Reamer, which is not his nickname.
There's no forgetting the Reamer.
Tim Ream has been a team captain for the U.S. men's national team. Very, very good player. Played in the English Premier League, the top league on the planet for a decade, and all that stuff. The problem Tim Ream has is he's 38. He is the old man of the team. So he's lost more than a step, and everybody is really concerned as to whether or not Tim Ream still has the legs to play at the World Cup level, and so we're going to find that out. His compatriot on the defensive line is a guy named Chris Richards. Chris is amazing. He was actually named this past year as the American Soccer Player of the Year. Chris Richards plays in the English Premier League for a team called Crystal Palace, which is amazing. They're in South London. He is a very, very strong defender and probably our best defender of the lot. Then we have Anthony Robinson, who goes by the nickname Jedi. Anthony Robinson has had some injuries, is sort of coming back from his latest injury. He is an outside back for English Premier side Fulham, which is another Southwest London team. He's a great player. In a 3-back, he'll be asked to play that sort of wing back role. He's very fast, probably our fastest player, running up and down the sidelines. And then the last of the defenders that I want to highlight is this young kid named Alex Freeman. Every time the commentators talk about Alex Freeman, they mention that his father, Antonio Freeman, won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, Antonio Freeman. We all know Antonio Freeman.
Yeah, famous football player. So Alex Freeman is his kid. He was until recently playing in MLS. He now plays for Villarreal in the Spanish league. He hasn't gotten a lot of minutes recently, but he just moved 6 weeks ago to 2 months ago, maybe. He, again, is a player who will be playing on defense, maybe could be playing in a wing back role, getting up and down the field. So if you see him crossing balls in front of the opponent's goal, that's why he's there. But so Tim Ream, the old guy, Chris Richards, sort of our best defensive player, plays for Crystal Palace. Anthony Robinson, who goes by the nickname Jedi, will be on the left side. Alex Freeman, the kid, will be somewhere rolling around, likely on the right side. So those are U.S. men's national team defenders. All right,
Okay.
let's move on.
All right. Thank you.
Middies.
Thank you. So back to my favorite position, the midfield. I'm only going to pick two, although there's many. Everyone deserves a shout out, but we're going to talk about Weston McKennie and Gio Reyna. Those are the two
course.
picks, right? So they're very different types of midfielders. And yes, very different types of people. McKennie is a central midfielder. Now, he is currently in Italy, all right, and he is potentially in the best form of his career at this point. He's scoring goals, he's assisting, he's playing multiple roles on the pitch. He's made around 13 goal contributions this season alone, so he's a huge contributor. And now, because he's had so much experience for the US and abroad, he's kind of a leader. We always need good leadership on the field. And so I think that he's going to play more of a role of a leader in the midfield. So we'll see. We'll see if he can translate what he's been doing at Juventus, which is his Italian club, onto the pitch for the US. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to switch right over to Gio, who, look, guys, he is my favorite. I know Brian's like laughing
Oh
here.
boy,
Later, I like to pick the bad boy.
I remember Gio.
That's just who
Giovanni Reyna. Yeah,
but
he's the enigma. He is our
he
enigma.
he is, but aren't, most people who have like this exquisite talent have some sort of like, oh my God, difficult to deal with personality. But let's just get right to it. He is in Germany right now. He plays for a team that it's Borussia Mönchengladbach, but I don't know if I pronounced that right. Someone correct me if no, Brett.
I would not be the person to correct you.
Well,
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's Gary's
it
favorite
sounded
team.
good.
Borussia
Borussia.
Mönchengladbach.
Oh,
Yeah, because the München is that's how the Germans say Munich. So Borussia Mönchengladbach. They're a Bavarian team.
all right. Gio is at Mönchengladbach right now. He has not had consistent minutes there. He has
No.
had injuries. He is struggling. But God, guys, his talent is undeniable. He can just pick and see things that people normally cannot see on the field. So he has creativity. He can unlock the other team's defenses. He creates chances. He plays between the lines. He's like an advanced midfielder. And it's kind of like watching someone like a South American style number 10. Remember we were talking about the number 10 before? So someone who doesn't give a flying blank about the rules. There are no rules. And for me, I have consistently over my time seen the American development system be a little bit poor on, you can't really teach creativity, right? We teach a lot of rules, we teach a lot of physicality, but what we don't teach is how to use your imagination. And yes, he has a background as well with his parents. I don't want to get too far into this like chaos and drama that ensued in 2022, but I will tell you, in case you don't know, he was the bad boy of 2022 under a different coach. And there was a whole hell of a lot of drama. We talked about it, I don't know, episode 2
We
maybe?
did. We've talked about it in a different episode, which people should go back and listen to. But suffice to
Yeah.
say that Gio Reyna, who I agree is super talented, especially on the ball, very good with his feet, very good at passing, but comes with some apparently past behavioral problems where he was almost voted off the island by the rest of the players during the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. So
I think
anyway,
I think Chandrima has a little thing for Gio Reyna. Has he earned?
I think
Has
she
he-
does.
Has he
He's a
earned?
good-looking
Has
kid.
he earned the right to have just Gio on his jersey?
Just
He
you.
does. He does not
Probably
go that
not.
way. He
Okay.
goes Reyna, probably also because his
Mm.
dad Claudio Reyna was a famous player. so
okay, well,
probably
that
he
makes
had the
sense
Reyna.
then,
Oh.
The other thing I do want to
Yeah.
say about Weston McKennie, which is hilarious, is that Weston McKennie, again, as Chandrima said, he plays in Turin for Juventus, which is the name of the team, and they're a very storied team, big market team. And he's been there now for a number of years. He has sometimes struggled to maintain fitness and is now in the best fitness and form of his life. But he famously appeared on a either television program or something that was on the internet with a famous Italian defender named Giorgio Chiellini. And they were talking about Italian food. And Weston did himself no favors by sort of saying, I'm not that big on Italian food. He works and plays in Italy. And then he said to Giorgio Chiellini, "Have you ever heard of ranch dressing?" And
boy.
Giorgio Chiellini said, "What is this ranch dressing?" And Weston McKennie basically admitted that he puts ranch dressing on everything, like pasta. He dips his pizza crust in it. He was all about ranch dressing. So this earned him a little bit of enmity and ire from the local Italians. But
He's like
he has
he's like
since,
the
I think,
Marshawn Lynch of soccer.
exactly.
bit, yeah. So
Exactly.
Giorgio, guys,
that's a
Giorgio
very
Chiellini-
good. That's exactly right. He is the Marshall Lynch of soccer. He's also a great player. He's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. He literally, for Juventus,
Mhm.
and this is true, has played every position on the field except goalkeeper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has played every, and that's not normal. Most players don't say, "Oh, I'll be a striker. Oh, today I'll be a defender." But he has done that, and is having the career year of his life, and just re-upped his contract. And I expect him to be a big player in the World Cup. Okay, moving on. We're running out of time. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly breeze through a couple of the forwards you can expect to see in these two games against Belgium and Portugal. Christian Pulisic, a man who sort of needs no introduction. You can go back to prior episodes and hear about him. He is the guy, as I like to say, who will be on the Wheaties box in June. He will be our number 10. He plays for AC Milan, which is a big club in Italy. He is a real generator of offense. And, of course, our good buddy, Folarin Balogun.
Folarin Balogun. I was wondering when he'd come up again.
Oh, yes. Good old Folarin. And you're about to see a picture of Folarin if I can keep my
Ooh.
internet working, because we're going to talk about unis, and I have a picture of Folarin wearing one of the new uniforms. Anyway, so Folarin Balogun will be there. Expect him to start. Another striker that is worth paying attention to is Ricardo Pepi, who's an American from Texas who plays for a Dutch side called PSV Eindhoven. And he is just coming off a broken arm injury. Luckily, you don't need your arm to play soccer. And expect him to be in camp and be in fine fitness and sort of challenging Balogun for that starting spot. You know, what the pundits would say is that it's 2 games. Expect Folarin to start the first game. Maybe Pepi starts the second game. We'll sort of see how that goes. Okay, to wrap up, we are going to have our little segment that we call Extra Time, where we just briefly mention something that's happening in the world of soccer and just get your reaction. So, as is common in international soccer and not necessarily common to other sports, one of the big deals is when they drop the new uniform design. Okay, uniforms in soccer are referred to as kits. Okay, your kit, meaning your shirt, shorts, and socks. And so in 2022, everybody felt like the U.S. had pretty ho-hum kits. And you get two. You get a home and an away. The home was like a white shirt with a couple of blue and red accents on it and was super boring. And the away was one they called like a tie-dye that was like sort of like a mottled kind of blue. And the players famously sort of rebelled and said, these kits suck, but I guess we have to wear them anyway. And so they wore them. But this time around, the players got to help choose the kits. So I'm going to try to do this. I'm sorry for you people who are listening on audio and can't see this. I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Aha.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So on the
Nice.
left in the red background is your friend and mine, Folarin Balogun.
Okay.
That's what he looks like.
Okay.
Folarin is wearing, so what they decided to do, it's sort of cool, and I'm interested to hear about what you think about these kits. What they decided to do was stars and stripes. So one kit is the stars, and the other kit is the stripes. So on your left, you have Folarin Balogun. On your right, you have this really exciting young player who unfortunately is just coming off of an injury. He plays in Major League Soccer in Salt Lake City. His name is Diego Luna. He is a big favorite of Pochettino, so I expect him to still be with the World Cup squad, although you will not see him in Belgium. But I just like that picture. I thought it was really cool.
He's also an excellent actor, Diego Luna.
He is. They're unrelated.
Oh,
The two Lunas, the two Diego Lunas. Okay, so starting with Aaron. Aaron, what do you think of these kits? What's your first blink reaction? The stars kit and the stripes kit.
I like them. It feels a little more dynamic than what you described before. I had to look a little closer to see the actual stars situation in
Right.
the black ones. But I think they're cool. I mean, I don't know if it's the shot, but it feels more active and engaging. So I like them. I think they're cool.
Gotcha. Gary, what's your thought?
I like the stars. I think the stripes looks like the guy was on Chain Gang in the 1930s. So not a big fan of that.
A little prison-like.
Mm.
I will also say, and Chandrima will know this as well, this is a little bit of a nod, even though the stripes are wavy. There was a kit they had years ago where the stripes were just straight across, and it was known as the Where's Waldo kit.
Yeah.
Right.
because
I
that's what it-
remember that. Yes,
Yeah,
I think I
and
remember
that's
that.
what it
yeah.
sort of looked like. These are the wavy stripes.
The wavy Waldos.
Maybe tougher to see in this particular shot. But
Mhm.
so for those of you who are listening to our podcast, just look up the Stars and Stripes new kit drop, and you will see all different players wearing wearing this sort of dark blue with these. It's actually a dark blue, not a black, with an even darker blue stripes. And then there's stars rather, and then there's a stripes kit that's the red and white. You got the loud kit, which is the home kit, by the way. The red and white stripe is the home kit, and the away kit is the one that Folarin is currently wearing.
Got it.
All right, so that's it. That is our show today for the Soccer Curious podcast. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Tell your friends. If you have a comment or question, you can also email us at soccercuriouspodcast@gmail.com. Soccer Curious Podcast is, of course, a production of the Sports Curious Network. Learn the game. See you next time.